Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Pavati Naistiki. Welcome everyone. Today the verse for the day, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 8th chapter, verse number 21. Give me 1 second. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. What meaning? Krishnaya, the Supreme Lord, Vasudevaya, unto the son of Vasudeva, Devaki Nandanaya, unto the son of Devaki, Cha, and Nanda Gopa, Nanda and the covered men, Kumaraya, unto their son, Govindaya, unto the personality of Godhead, who enlivens the cows and the senses, Namaha, respectful obeisances, Namaha, obeisances. Translation. Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and the other covered men of Vrindavana, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses. Purport. The Lord, being thus unapproachable by any material assets, out of unbounded and costless mercy, descends to the earth, as he is in order to show his special mercy upon his unalloyed devotees, and to diminish the upsurges of the demoniac persons. Queen Kunti specifically adores the incarnation or descent of Lord Krishna above all other incarnations, because in this particular incarnation, he is more approachable. In the Rama incarnation, he remained a remained a king's son from his very childhood. But in the incarnation of Krishna, although he was the son of a king, he at once left the shelter of his real father and mother, King Vasudeva and Queen Devaki, just after his appearance, and went to the lap of Yashodamai to play the part of an ordinary cowherd boy in the blessed Vrajabhumi, which is very sanctified because of his childhood pastimes. Therefore, Lord Krishna is the most merciful than Lord Rama. He was undoubtedly very kind to Kunti's brother Vasudeva and family. Had he not become the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, Queen Kunti could not claim him to be her nephew, and thus address Krishna in parental affection. But Nanda and Yashoda are more fortunate because they could relish the Lord's childhood pastimes, which are more attractive than all other pastimes. There is no parallel to his childhood pastimes as exhibited at Brajabhumi, which are replicas of his eternal affairs in the original Krishna Loka, described as the Chintamani Dhama in the Brahma Samhita. Lord Sri Krishna descended himself at the Brajabhumi with all his transcendental entourage, and paraphernalia. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore confirmed that no one is as fortunate as the residents of Rajabhumi, and specifically the cowherd girls who dedicated their everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. His pastimes with Nanda and Yashoda and his pastimes with the cowherd men, and especially the cowherd boys and the cows, caused him to be known as Govinda. Lord Krishna as Govinda is more inclined to the Brahmanas and the cows, indicating thereby the human prosperity depends more on these two items, namely Brahminical culture and the cow protection. Lord Krishna is never satisfied where these are lacking. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swavadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Tajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Visha Shri Vishakhanvitanscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nivishesha Shunyamadi Paschatya Deshatarne Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktaranda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha mukam karoti vachalam pangam gayate grim yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Thank you for giving this opportunity to discuss the pastimes of Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam here. Very fortunate to get this opportunity. With my limited knowledge, I will speak something with all your blessings and prayers and to please the Lordships. This is, I think, this is the one of the easiest words to pronounce in Srimad Bhagavatam, I feel. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. I don't want to repeat the context because everyone in this call knows the context. But one thing I would mention, these are gems. It looks like a poetry, but this is not a simple poetry. It was spontaneously spoken by Queen Kunti as a prayer to Krishna. So the spontaneous attraction of Krishna is not that easy. And when we talk about spontaneous attraction, how do we even speak about that spontaneously about that personality? If somebody says, go ahead and write an essay, you have to think 1,000 times what to write. In general, any material, anything material. If you talk about some most attractive place in this world, and they say, can you describe something about that place? We have to rethink many times. We have to find out what is there in that place. And it's not that easy to describe. But how can you really describe with a kind of a poetry, with a spontaneous glorification of Krishna? It's not easy. If I think about when the pastime of Lord Shiva and then Lord with Sati, with his Sati's father Prajapati, when that incident happened, everything calmed down. Then Lord Vishnu comes, and each and everyone there assembled, they started glorifying Lord Vishnu. Each one has his own prayers and glorification. And if I look at the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Shiva also glorifies, Lord Brahma also glorifies. But I can see Lord Brahma's glorification was pages, but all others' glorification is maybe a little bit words, sentences. Now Kunti Devi is praying and glorifying Krishna in 26, so many verses here, which Prabhupada compiled that prayers into a book. So how important it is, we need to understand that how important these verses are for us and how to pray, how to glorify. This is what I understand from these verses. And now coming to the spontaneous attraction, spontaneous glorification. Spontaneous glorification comes when there is a spontaneous attraction to the particular object. And if you know something about that object, you can easily say something. But now Queen Kunti is describing and spontaneously glorifying Lord Sri Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And think about how much she knew about Krishna. So for us, there is a lot of spontaneous attraction to the material world, Maya. I'm thinking in that way. I have spontaneous attractions to the Maya, anytime for that matter, very spontaneous. Look at anything for that object, it's very spontaneously, and you can describe whatever you want to. But spontaneously, can you say something about Krishna? Please, Prabhu, hold on a second. Let me look at this Bhagavatam, look at the Bhagavad Gita, and read some books and glorify something, which I'm not be able to, but I'll try something. And that's what I'm trying to do now. Which they, I have an opportunity to glorify Krishna, and I have to think about what to glorify. I have to read books. I have to do this. I have to do that. Means, where are we? Is it spontaneously coming from our mouth? No way. Why? Because we're so much spontaneously attracted to material world, Maya Devi. So how do we get attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Is by hearing about him, his pastimes, his glorifications. So that is what Srimad Bhagavatam is. So Bhadra Purnima is coming, and we are promoting to the people that this is the most auspicious day of Bhadra Purnima. Please take this Srimad Bhagavatam, and whoever takes and reads, whoever gives this, there'll be a ticket ready. Go to Goloka. A ticket to Goloka is ready for us. In spite of all, knowingly, unknowingly, somehow we will know, and we will pass on this word. But how many people are getting attracted for the Srimad Bhagavatam also? In spite of knowing, they may not be interested. We may not be interested. So because we don't have the taste of this scripture. But when we hear more and more from the personalities who have, like Srila Prabhupada and our Priya Acharyas and his disciplic succession, with their purity, with their mercy. The other day, Premananda Mataji was telling very nicely that on that Radhastami day, amazing description of Srimad Bhagavatam and association of devotees. I felt like totally melted my heart. What are we really trying to do? She was describing about sadhu sangha, sarva shastra hoy. What makes us perfect in this world is by kshana matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. Just by the mercy of a pure devotee who are in constant touch with Krishna, carrying always Krishna in their heart. Like for us, by Krishna's mercy and whatever situation now going on, we have our holiness Romat Maharaj here in this town, and everybody is getting into ecstasy, hearing the glories of Krishna every day. And I don't want to speak like 1 hour today because Maharaj is going to speak around 7:30, I believe. So how much? Just by, he might even read the same verse, same pastime, same verse, same translation and his purport. But when it comes from the pure devotee, the person who hears melts the heart, purifies the heart. So that is the potency of Srimad Bhagavatam. So describing this, I will try something with all your blessings of Vaishnavas. So there are so many verses of prayers. Kunti Devi, first 6 verses, she talks about the identity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She has identified that Krishna is none other than the original personality of Godhead. And now she's describing and she's offering her obeisances to the Lord. And the first thing she did is, let me offer my obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the description. If I understand here, that's the first thing she says. And who is this Krishna who has become the son of Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki? Where was he? Where did he appear in this planet Earth? Unlimited, inconceivable Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared from the womb of Devaki. But how and where is a big question for us. Inconceivable, unlimited, and he appeared in that limited space in the prison. Can we understand? He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unlimited. He is the Adipati of all these universes, unlimited, and he is appearing in this small prison. And can he show something in the prison? Yes, he showed himself as Lord Vishnu to the parents that he is not an ordinary boy. But how his purpose is not just that. He wants to come out of it, because when we are in this COVID situation, we have limited access to anything. So we always think about getting out of this house, even working from house. No, I want to get out of this house. And Krishna, such an can't even understand who Krishna is, and he cannot be in this prison. So he wants to show what he is, and so he gets out of the prison, and he goes to Gokul, Vrindavan, from Mathura all the way. And that's again such a beautiful pastime when we hear in Srimad Bhagavatam how he also left prison and what happened, what not, right? So he came out of the prison and he took shelter. What did he take shelter? Basically, he became the, he appeared, and then he came and went to the lap of Yashodamai to play the part of an ordinary cowherd boy in this blessed Brajabhumi. That's what Prabhupada explains here. Such a beautiful pastime of Sri Krishna coming to the Vrindavan. And then he did what? He showed us a prototype of this, a model of the spiritual world. Vrindavan and the pastimes of Vrindavan are nothing other than the prototype. It's called a spiritual embassy, right? We normally say it's a temples, or it's called all the temples here of Krishna, Radha and Krishna. They are the spiritual embassies, which is nothing but as equal as the embassy office is not as equal as the spiritual places, that is spiritual world. So temple is not different from the spiritual place, right? So that's the understanding what we have. Now he is giving us a model of a spiritual world in that small place of Vrindavan, Gokul. And he enacted the pastimes, his pastimes, with the Gopas and Gopis, and Nanda Gopa, you see here, Nanda Gopa Kumaraya. Nanda is also a Gopa, basically Nanda, the coward man. And Kumaraya, he became a son. And what does he do? He always enacted in the pastimes, playing around, fighting, playing, and then he becomes the master for someone, he becomes the son for someone, he becomes the friend for someone, he becomes the lover of someone. And Maharaj, when Prabhupada Maharaj is explaining the pastime after pastime of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, oh Krishna, where do we don't need anything in our lives. Just hear about what description of what's happening in Krishna's pastime. That's all we need for the life, if you really think about it. Of course, we, for our maintenance, as long as in our material world, yes, we need all others, family, office, this, that, etc. But sometimes I feel, why do we need all this? Just sit and hear the pastime. That's all we need. Now, Kunti Maharani, she's taking a very humble position and offering her obeisances to her nephew, touching the lotus feet of Krishna. Even though she is in the parental, she is the parent, basically, in the parent way. Who is this? Because Krishna's father is Vasudeva, Vasudeva's sister is Kunti. Now she is offering obeisances to Krishna. Think about it. Because she identifies that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is all attractive. And so now he comes to the Vrindavan, and a lot of reciprocation with the devotees of Krishna. In the previous verse, it talks about the Paramahamsa. Nanda and Yashoda, they are Paramahamsas. And they knew how to separate milk from water. They knew, even though they knew that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of Yoga Maya, it completely covering that Krishna is not the Supreme Personality. He is none other than their son. He's nothing to do with Krishna, God. He is just their son. That is because of Yoga Maya. And even recently I heard some lectures that Krishna himself forgets that he's God. Radharani herself forgets that she's a consort of Lord Krishna. They both forget each other, and they just like a boy and girl, Gopa and Gopi in Vrindavan, they enact their pastimes. They themselves forget it because of Purnamasi's Yogamaya. So that's how the pastime works in Vrindavan. And all the people, Gopas and Gopis, just hearing how Krishna steals butter, how Krishna distributes butter to monkeys, his friends, how Krishna plays, how Krishna goes to Vrindavan forest along with the cows, how does he play the flute, how he attracts people, how he attracts all the gopis in Vrindavan, and the complaints of gopis, a lot of complaints about Krishna. They come and sit with Yashoda Maya and keep complaining about Krishna. That is nothing other than Krishna Katha. And look at this pastime after pastime. How many years was he in Vrindavan anyway? Limited year. Out of 125 years, very short period in Vrindavan. But that is such a sweet pastime that is completely described in 10th canto. And we just hear about it. Prabhupada describes so beautifully. On the top of it, Jiva Goswami is where Prabhupada Maharaj is explaining of Tat Bhakti Sandarbha, so many Sandarbhas. He describes one after the other. It takes us to this different platform, different realm. So beautiful. So the another thing Prabhupada says here is Rama. He compares Rama and Krishna. Why? Rama is also Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he remains in the king's son from his very childhood. But in the incarnation of Krishna, he was the son of a king. He at once left the shelter of his real father and mother just after this appearance and went to lap of Yashoda. So I was thinking about what is this pastime? What kind of relationship Krishna had? And I was also preparing for this class. And in Manak Siksha from Raghunath Das Goswami, he says, the verse number 5, Api tyaktva Lakshmi Pati Ratim iti Vyamo Nayanim Vraje Radhe Krishna Swa Rati Mani Dautvam Bhaja Manaha. It says, my dear mind, I read actually the second sentence of that verse, but the whole translation says, my dear mind, you must categorically relinquish all frivolous and mundane talk, which is like a prostitute who steals all your intelligence and resolve. The desire for liberation is equally evil, for it is like a terrifying tiger, devouring your very being. I further request you that you even abandon your attachment to Lord Narayan, the husband of Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, who offers the grand benediction of residence in Vaikuntha. I simply and humbly request that you live in Vraja and worship Sri Radha and Sri Krishna, for they bless their devotees with engagement in their devotion service. This is the coming from Manasiksha Raghunath Das Goswami. He himself says, we need to just follow the footsteps of previous acharyas, right? So it doesn't mean that you don't have to think about Vaikuntha, but he's telling Vishnu, forget about even abundantly or attachment to Lord Narayan. He's telling, we don't need, just take shelter of Krishna and be in Vrindavan, in Vraja. You live in Vrindavan. That's all we need in our lives. So many verses in Srimad Bhagavatam again, 1:328. Ete cham sakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vaikulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. Lord Narasimha Dev, Istadev for Prahlad Maharaj. When Lord Narasimha Dev appeared, Prahlad was protected from Hiranyakashipu. So what did he really do? What was the relationship there? Master and servant. Correct? In so many incarnations, it is actually master and servant relationship. There is one called Bhagavad Rasa Tattva. In that, it explains from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila the 5 principal rasas. Santa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhura, Rasa, Nama, Krishna Bhakti Rasa Madhya, E Pancha Pradhana. The chief transcendental mellows experienced with the Supreme Personality of Godhead are 5. Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya Rasa. And there is also a secondary rasa. Hasya, Adbhuta, Veera, Karuna, Raudra, Bibhasta, Bhaya, Pancha Vida, Bhakte, Gauna Sapta Rasa Haya. In addition to the 5 direct mellows, there are 7 indirect mellows known as laughter, wonder, chivalry, compassion, anger, disgust, and fear. So what is this Santarasa? Sages who subsist on air, those who expert themselves in penance, those who observe strict celibacy for life, those who are peaceful, and those who are sannyasis attain to the spiritual abode known as Brahman. So, for example, Prabhupada was giving an example. I heard something from one of the senior Vaishnavas. When the small baby cries, "Mommy, something happened, what do I need to do?" The first thing comes is mommy. And mommy takes care of that child, that baby. So for everything, Krishna comes to mom. So that is actually the Bhakti Yoga. That means as if you look at all the devotees of the Lord, Mother Uttara, Kunti, Pandavas, Prahlad Maharaj, Gajendra, you name it in Srimad Bhagavatam. So many, anything happens, any calamity happens, we'll just ask, Krishna, please help me. Please protect me. Now, that is actually a baby approaching a mother, just like we are all babies. That means if we are following Bhakti Yoga, that means we are babies. We are always thinking about somebody to take shelter, which is none other than Krishna. Please, Krishna, please help me. But a grown-up boy is like Gnani Yogis. It's been explained that grown-up boys are Gnani Yogis, which is, now they want to merge in Brahman. So that is what Santarasa is. The Dasya in the Santarasa only realizes his constitutional person, but when one is raised to the Dasya Rasa, he better understands the full opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when we go to a different, not different, different incarnations of the Lord, we are in the relationship of the rasa of the mellow, means we are actually looking at the master and servant. We are master and servant relationship. So dasya rasa, which is the full opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In dasya rasa, knowledge of the Supreme Person is revealed with awe and veneration. By rendering service to Krishna, the devotee in dasya rasa gives constant happiness to the Lord. The qualities of Santarasa are also present in dasya rasa. But in dasya rasa, service is added. Thus, dasya rasa has the qualities of Shantarasa and dasya rasa. This is all I am actually referring from Chaitanya Chaitamrita Madhya Leela, 19th chapter. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, what is dasya rasa says again? It's the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 12th verse. Those engaged in self-realization, appreciating the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, and those engaged as servants of the Supreme Lord, accepting him as the master, as well as those who are under the clutches of Maya, thinking the Lord an ordinary person, cannot understand that certain exalted persons, after accumulating heaps of pious activities, are now playing with the Lord in a friendship as cowherd boys. See, so simply by decorating ourselves with the garlands, fragrant oils, clothes, and ornaments that you have already enjoyed, and by eating the remnants of your meals, we, your servants, will indeed conquer your illusory energy. This is all glorification of this Dasarasa. Sakya now comes to Sakya Rasa. Now, all the Gopas and Gopis, they're all friends of Krishna, playing, defeating Krishna in their play. Shvetashvara Upanishad 4.6 says, the Supreme Lord is the friend of living being. He is so kind to him that he is always accompanies the living being, in the same way that the two birds occupy the same branch of a tree. The Lord sits in the heart and every living being, ready to bestow auspiciousness upon the soul. In this way, Lord acts as the indwelling witness, even while the soul pursues the fruits of karma happiness. But in Vrindavan, we have seen Vatsalya from Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda. So in the Vatsalya Rasa, the qualities of Santarasa, Dasya and Sakya are transformed into the form of service called nurturing. The essence of fraternal love is intimacy devoid of the formality and veneration found in the Dasya Rasa. Due to the greater sense of intimacy, the devotee functioning in the paternal love chastises and rebukes the Lord in an ordinary way. In paternal love, the devotee considers himself the Lord's maintainer and protector. Thus, the Lord is object of protection like a son. And therefore, this mellow has the qualities of Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, and Vatsalya. This is more transcendental nectar. I heard recently from Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, there are so many temples and people go approach so many, they go to so many temples as well. There, we always go to the temple to ask something. Please, demigod's temple, Krishna's temple, maybe so many other temples. We always go, please, I have a list of things to be, to be fulfilled. So I'll go and ask, please give me, please give me, please give me. So Maharaj explained it's a dene wala Bhagwan hai. And now in ISKCON, there are not many people coming to ISKCON. Of course, they're coming, but it's just like that. Radha and Krishna are there. Why we don't go to the temple of ISKCON? Not many people. If you look at the other temples and ISKCON temple, the people coming to ISKCON are limited. Why is it so? There, the other temples are dene wala Bhagwan hai, idhar lene wala Bhagwan hai. Lene wala. Why is that? Because in this verse you see, he is actually taking from us. That means we are giving love, we are giving service to Krishna. And similarly, this verse from the Madhya Lila, it is telling that in the paternal love, the devotee considers himself the Lord's maintainer and protector, but devotee functioning the paternal love chastises and rebukes the Lord in an ordinary way due to the greater sense of intimacy. And Krishna is been, it's just like that. We have deities in the temple. Krishna is inconceivable, unlimited. He's an Atma Rama. He's already satisfied. He doesn't need anything. But think about deities in the temple. They are depending on devotees. Some people has to go, some devotees has to go, wake up. Krishna, please wake up. If you look at the, what is his name? Uttishta, we always say this verse for looking at Ramchandra. It's a beautiful verse came out, Vishwamitra. I know it's not coming. Anyway, so we go wake up Krishna and then feed Krishna, bhoga palya bhog in the morning, and then we will offer Mangalarati, and after that somebody has to bathe Krishna, somebody has to dress Krishna. Krishna is everything, right? So he doesn't want to, he's limited. He can do on his own. But think about, he is asking others help here. Can you please do it for me? So we have to go and then bathing them, dressing them, feeding them. And that means what? Krishna is depending on us. Correct? So here, Krishna is basically depending completely on the devotees as in the deity form. So this is our intimate relationship with Krishna. We need to understand in such a way that Krishna is so attractive, and just with, but Maharaj said, what be the mood when we worship the deities? It should be master and servant. He is like awe and reverence, right? That is true. But what is Krishna? For us, that is the mood. But for Krishna, he is actually depending on the devotees. Can you please do it for me? That's what he's asking for us. That's what Prabhupada is giving this spiritual emphasis all over the world by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And we are taking this opportunity. Of course, we're in America. It's not that everybody can go and live in Vrindavan, right? It's not easy. How many people are ready to go to Vrindavan anyway? I have this, I have that. So, but Krishna expanded himself as in the deity form, and he's in our doorstep. And within the house, we have our own deities as well. And he's asking, please take care of me. Every day, the love, what we offer to Krishna, is so dear to Krishna. It is not that we offer this and that, because in this verse, the first thing Prabhupada explained is, the Lord being thus unapproachable by any material assets. Krishna doesn't need anything. He's an Atmarama, is self-satisfied. Krishna what he wants is just the love of all the devotees. That's all he needs, right? So coming to the I think it's getting late. So I will conclude with one verse. The cause of rasa. There are two kinds of particular ecstasies, vibhava. One is called the support, and the other is called the awakening, which is alambana and uddipana. The vibration of Krishna's flute is an example of the awakening, and Lord Krishna himself is an example of the support. This is from Madhya Lila again. This is all gems, actually, even one verse after other one. Somebody has compiled and I got this. And the ultimate rasa is the madhurya. In the conjugal love, attachment for Krishna, rendering service to him, the relaxed feelings of fraternity and feelings of maintenance all increase in intimacy. In conjugal love, the devotee offers his body in the service of Lord. Thus, on this platform, all five transcendental qualities are present. All the material qualities, one after another in the material elements, beginning with either by gradual evolution. First, one quality develops, then two develop, then three, and then four, until all five qualities are found in the earth. Similarly, in conjugal love, all the feelings of the devotees are amalgamated. The intensified taste is certainly wonderful. I don't have to say anything from my own words, just repeat on what the scripture, Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam says. That's all we need. Just be a postman. As Prabhupada said, just be a postman and just repeat whatever the previous Acharya says. That itself is a prayer. That itself is a glorification of the Lord. Saying that, I think I'll thank you so much for all your patience. And Krishna, one thing he says that Lord Krishna as Govinda is more inclined to the Brahmanas and the cows, indicating thereby that human prosperity depends more on these two items, namely Brahminical culture and cow protection. Lord Krishna is never satisfied where these are lacking. So for us to take away from this is to follow the Brahminical culture and protect the cows. Krishna is indicating very clearly, because he's Go Brahmana Itayacha. Govinda. Govinda is actually the pleasure giver for the cows as well, right? So these two are very important for us to understand. And if you follow the Brahminical culture, that's most important. And then protection of the cows. So we need to, for that protection of cows, we need to preach. We need to expand our preaching. Let people know that we need to protect cows, not kill cows. And he's giving us all these cows from Vrindavan. He's actually as a prototype, as a model. What this pastime is in Vrindavan, it is similar. It's exactly the prototype from the spiritual world. So how that will be in the spiritual world. And my spiritual master was telling that we are preparing to dress the deities with this color and this service and this and that. So this is actually a rehearsal. What we are doing here. Once we go back to the spiritual world, then whatever the practices we do, they're all the rehearsal. So even deity dressing, don't think that I don't have the skills. Yes, of course, I don't have the skills, but this is a rehearsal for us to do this service in the spiritual world. In that way, if you do that service, our ticket to Goloka is reserved by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. If anybody has comments, questions, otherwise I'll stop.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please explain humble obeisance. This is Bhakti Priya.
Ruth Mataji, please
I
accept
didn't
mine.
get to the rehearsal part of it. I was struggling to connect to Radha Shamsundar when I was performing deity service. So I think I will remember that we are rehearsing here.
Yeah,
When we get there, that will help me to focus more better on Krishna and Radharani. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for that.
thank you, Mataji. Anybody wants to share the realizations? Any reflections? I know there is Mara's lecture going on, so many people are there. I was like, I don't know what to say, but anyway, what some opportunity to glorify Krishna. That's all.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's really so beautiful and connecting to the Vrindavan. Your glorification, it's really nice. I was really touched by that point when you said, to glorify Krishna, we have to refer and do so much. But our spontaneous attraction to material energy is so strong that the moment somebody says immediately, the whole flow comes. Like, I was just thinking, the discussions at workplace, or particularly there, probably with the devotees, we are more, at least when we associate with devotees who are keen and more interested in reading and hearing, we may be dragged to the other side. But otherwise, the attraction for these material things is so strong in spite of knowing and learning and hearing again and again. But somehow, as I was hearing, it just inspired the heart. In spite of that, we are actually being given this opportunity. I was connecting that point to the point that you mentioned later. Even though Krishna is self-sufficient, he can actually do everything on his own. But it's like so dependent, Sometimes when I sign up for this early morning service, I feel like, oh, what if I don't wake up? What will happen? I mean, Krishna has to just wait there for Balyabhog. It's as if we are the maintainer. I mean, I understand it's a
Yeah,
service, but it's literally feels like that. And I guess it is so because as Krishna is not different from the deity form, and he is there waiting. So that really brought so much of that connection. It's not like just some deity, some service, but it brought such a personal connection, the way you shared, Prabhu.
yeah.
Appreciating it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing up this. The Kausalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate. Vishwamitra Muni looking at Krishna, Ramachandra, he comes and say, hey, please wake up, Lord Rama. So that's what we go and personally we wake up Krishna, touching their feet, touching their, so personal, right? After starting the DT services, a few years, I feel I don't need anything. I just need to go do some services. So how wonderful they are, so attractive. The day after day, even in this 1 week of Shamasundar's, for 1 week of Shamantar appear in this altar. It's every day after day, do some service. So attractive, very attractive. Whether just to see them. But one thing I understand is, even though you go and see the deities, they're beautiful. But if you don't hear about don't hear anything, that means especially the Bhagavatam, and even look at the deities, we may feel, oh, Krishna is this, Krishna is that, he has this color, that color. But we need to hear first of all, right? Even if you look at that, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he was giving a lecture, two of his devotees, disciples went out in Vrindavan, and he was telling, where did you go? The people, all other were assembled there. And then spiritual master is here, explaining everything and giving a lecture, but these two people were missing. And he comes, where did you go? Oh, we went around to see the darshan, have the darshan of Krishna. When a spiritual master is describing the pastimes of Krishna, you should, first what it says is, hear about Krishna. Then only you can see Krishna. So even doing the services, if you think that I'm doing service, I don't need anything. No, we need to hear and you can serve better. Anything it connects with hearing. That's what I realized. Even because 1 week was very busy, I was not hearing much. I felt I was already in Maya, even though you are doing services. So it's important to hear before we even go to Krishna. That's my realization. Thank you.
Hari Hari, Prabhu Dandavat.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. All glories.
Prabhu, two maybe questions. You mentioned Krishna calling out for the mother, being Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we call out Krishna. So I was wondering, can you explain more? Like, the Supreme Person is calling for mother. Instead of we calling our mother, we call Krishna. Krishna is sitting an example there, I'm calling my mother, that, we give an example that a person works for a manager and he sees that his manager is working for his manager. At the end, he says, okay, everybody is worshipping Krishna, so I'm going to worship Krishna. We hear that a lot, this example. So in this context, Krishna is calling out mother. How do we understand that based on that example? That's my first question, Prabhu.
Oh, Krishna, you're asking me. I don't know anything much, but based on my understanding, see this. Initially, when a small boy gets hurt, the first thing he does, Mom, please help. So our
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhu. I think someone's microphone is not muted. We are hearing echo.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, now it's good. So it's like a boy and a small boy. Grown-up born is always dependent on Krishna. Somebody's mute. Let me see whose mic is it. Pandurang Gopal Prabhu, maybe you can mute. Yeah, I think good. So what I understand is we, as a bhakti yogis, we always dependent on Krishna. We always say Krishna because we are completely taking shelter of Krishna. And now Krishna is actually wants to be his mom, the day one, day after day. He is actually getting fear of Krishna, and Mother Yashoda is coming with that stick, the pastime of Damodar. And he is enacting that pastime that he doesn't want to be God, first of all. See, why did he come to Vrindavan? He doesn't want to be God. He wants to be friend. He wants to be the son. He wants to be the, lover. So that is what he likes. That is what the prototype is. That is the real world in Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan. That is the prototype. That's what I understand from hearing all this pastimes. Krishna doesn't want to be God. He wants to be just a son. Why? Because that is the reciprocation for his devotees. That's why if you look at, I heard many times, right? So he has so many people, devas have so many responsibilities. That's why they have a weapon. In every incarnation, everything, they have some weapons. But Krishna has nothing in his hands. Two-handed, Tribanga, with just a flute, playing from, because all his responsibility is given to him. And he wants to be with the devotees. And he doesn't want to be God. He wants to play around. He wants to be that. He wants to experience that more and more. Not just experience, he is experienced anyway, but he wants to reciprocate with the devotees. That is what Vrindavan is. That is what it is the highest. So he doesn't want to be God, Prabhu. He wants to be a son of a devotee, to give a reciprocation. That's what all these rasas are. Madhuryas, Madhurya rasa, Shanta rasa, Sakya rasa. So we are thinking about, I want to be Krishna. I want to be a servant of you, Krishna. But Krishna wants to be a servant. Look at, he came as a servant. He is a serving, even though Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God, he is trying to serve Arjuna as the charioteer. Correct?
So if that is the case, why we have to even bother Krishna for protection? Because he's there to have rasa.
We are not there yet.
No, it doesn't. He's setting an example, right? So why
It's
we have to even bother Krishna
but
for
cannot
protection?
imitate. We think that we are already there. That means we are in Maya.
Let's take this offline.
We are not even there. We can't even think about that. Coming to Vrindavan, being in Vrindavan, there how much they have done, unbelievable, right? So we are just started our Krishna opening our eyes and say, I want to be like that. There is no way. We are in Maya. That's all.
Yes, yeah, I'll talk to you offline. I have more questions on that.
Sure,
The
Prabhu.
second one, I don't know how much time we have. I will go on. Second one is you talked about Brahminical culture. This one is bothering me from the beginning of my spiritual life. So could you please throw some light on Brahminical culture, not the Brahmana, those standard philosophy we speak. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the culture. What is that Brahmanical culture you are referring, or we should refer to? Thank you, Prabhu.
It's very difficult to answer for me, honestly, because I'm not even having that culture. But based on my understanding, Brahminical culture, if you refer Bhagavad Gita, there are so many things. What is Brahminical culture is. But I don't know exactly what Krishna is referring here as a Brahminical culture. The Brahminical culture, I can think about, it is not just becoming a Brahminical culture. I want to be a Vaishnava rather than just the Brahmin, but the culture has to be Brahminical, right? So the just becoming a Brahmin, it's not going to help us. Of course, we need to have the culture of a Brahmin, but more than Brahmin is to be a Vaishnava. That means we have to be the devotee of Krishna. Complete surrender, and then serve the Krishna in a different. If you look at the Brahmins and Gopi, in the pastime of Vrindavan, we have seen Brahmins were actually very well doing the sacrifices, these, etc. They were all following their rules and regulations. And when Krishna and Balaram asked somebody to go and ask some food from that, Krishna and Balaram is asking food, can you please give something, or we are very busy, right? The Brahmins' wives, they were completely surrendered, and they offered what, because Krishna and Balaram are asking, they immediately abandoned everything. They all started serving Krishna. So Brahminical culture, on the present, we may not understand what the Brahminical, because the Brahminical culture based on the Vedas and based on the scriptures, yes, that's Brahmin. But what is that? We need to understand is Vedaischa sarver ahameva Vedya. We need to, Krishna is, for us to know, Krishna is the only one. We need to know Krishna. The Brahminical culture is important for us to have the discipline, so that in a sense, we don't have a discipline, then we cannot serve Krishna properly. In that way, I can understand, Prabhu. But there might be more. Maybe you should say something, or open to the discussion. Anybody can say something, because I'm not there yet. But for me, Brahmins, becoming a Brahmin is right, but following the Brahminical culture and have that discipline is most important to serve Krishna. Otherwise, there is no other way we can have that sincerity. That's my understanding, but there might be more. With my very limited knowledge, I say something, Prabhu. That's all.
Thank you,
Please.
Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, thank you. It's a very loosely used term.
I know. It's in this context, it's very difficult to say that says Brahminical culture, but in the Kalau Sudra Sambhava, nobody is Brahmin here anyway. But it is very sentimental and very sensitive, and then got very deep. Anyway, thank you so much. I think it's 8:10. We'll stop here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.